bless you, our thoughts start, bless you, our thoughts of hope, our thoughts of faith, our thoughts of trust, our thoughts of reconnecting with this truth that we say is already here. The thoughts of hope that this divine infinite power that we talk about is actually here for us. It is greater than us, at the same time it is also within us. And I love to use both. It's great to think of it being within me when I'm feeling empowered. Spirit is within me. But when I can't find it so readily, boy, sometimes I need to say, Spirit around me, come, lead me through the darkness. There's nothing wrong with being in this philosophy and at the same time inviting Spirit to come in. In the old days it was taught, if you didn't find it within yourself, you weren't doing it right. Well, I don't like this coming at me, and so I don't give this to you. I just say, you're welcome. Yes, it's within us, but there are moments, and I think that that's something that, maybe I'm being stupid at admitting that, but there are moments when we can't find it. And so we say, the Spirit around me, lead me through the darkness. It is greater than and within, both at the same time. The word hope, symbols of hope, is a really funny thing in this philosophy. It has two very distinct applications for us in this kind of a teaching. Hope, what does hope mean? Well, I already said it. It gives us something to hang on to. When we're in that dark despair time, it gives us a way to lift us a little bit higher out of despair. So hope can lift us. Ernest Holmes says, if it were not for the divine hope in us, our experiences would be more than the human mind could digest. That's a direct quote from the same man who turns around and says something else, which I'll get to in a minute. If it were not for the divine hope in us, our experiences would be more than the human mind could digest. So that's a very warm and fuzzy idea of hope in my idea. It's help us lift us up. Give us that thing to hold on to when we're feeling like it's lost. Give us something to hold on to while we're going through it. Because as I already said, we might not just wiggle our nose and poof, be on the other side of our dark night of the soul. But while we're moving through whatever that change is, we can hold on to something. In Joanne's poem, she said about nature waiting, and now it waits. And sometimes so do we. Sometimes we wait. Sometimes we're going through an unfolding or a germinating of our new seeds. We're going through a birth canal. Sometimes we don't even know where it's bringing us. Hope and faith in that moment when we are like the little seed under the ground that is cold and it's dark, and now we wait. And we wait. And you and I can wait with that sense of hope. You and I can wait knowing something else is unfolding here. So right in this moment, I may have to go through this dark night for a couple of days, or who knows, time is nothing. But in the middle of it, if we can say, I'm here, I'm not going to fight this, I'm not going to resist this. Instead, I'm going to know that it's leading me to something beautiful. It's leading me to some growth inside of me. And I may not even know what it is yet. But gosh, I'm going to trust it. I'm going to have faith, and I'm going to have hope that while I'm waiting, that light is leading me through the darkness and it's beckoning me back out. That is such a powerful thing. And as we wait, there's some beautiful words that will help us. And I'm going to tell you these words in the story form. This is one of my favorite stories, and so you may have heard it before. I love it. The story has many different origins. It has some Jewish Hebrew origins. It has some biblical origins. This happens to be from the Sufi tradition, which is the mystic tradition of Islam. It's the same story told just a little bit differently. According to an old Sufi story, there was once a king in the Middle East who was constantly torn between happiness and despair. The slightest thing would provoke a strong reaction in him, and when he felt happiness, it would swiftly turn into disappointment or hopelessness. The king eventually became so tired of himself and his life like this, he decided to face his problems and call for help. He was notified of a wise man in his kingdom that was said to be enlightened. The king pleaded for his help, and when the wise man came to see the king, The king told him, I want to be as you are. I want balance and clarity in my life. And I will pay you any price you demand for that insight. The wise man responded, I might be able to help you, but this insight is so valuable that the entirety of your kingdom would not be enough to pay for it. That's why I will give it to you as a gift, if you will honor it. The king promised he would honor it, and the wise man went on his way. Weeks later, the wise man came to the king again. This time, he had a jade container. This container had within it a golden ring with letters inscribed on it. The letters said, this too shall pass. What is the meaning of this? The king asked, baffled. The wise man told him to always keep this ring with him and to look at it before he judged anything going on in his life. Good or bad, do this, and peace will be with you always, the wise man said. This too shall pass. Going through the dark night of the soul, those words are so wise. When we're feeling that the hope is lost, those words are so wise. If we can remember them, if we can etch them on our forehead, inside of our third eye here, let's just put it in there, this too shall pass. Before we too quickly run to despair or even to bliss and joy, if those two things are pulling us apart, what we want to try to find is an understanding that this too shall pass, both sides. Even when we're in the joyful places then, this too shall pass. At least it helps us when we move over to the dark side a little bit and we don't go, oh my gosh, where did it go? I lost it all. This too shall pass. And we shall have both sides of that. What a wonderful reminder. What a wonderful thing to hold on to as a symbol of hope. This too shall pass. It can help us relax. And we can take a very active approach in moving ourselves through that darkness. So this too shall pass sounds a little bit passive, and that's good. Sometimes we need to relax. Sometimes we fight it too much. We try to figure it all out in our head too much, and relaxing is good. Passive sometimes is good, but we can marry that with an active approach, and that active approach is called prayer. And what do we call it here? Treatment. Spiritual mind treatment is the fancy hoo-ha name. If you've taken foundational class, you know we've got a 5-step method. If you haven't taken class yet, let this be your commercial. It's wonderful to come and take the foundational class where you get to learn our 5-step method of prayer. And it's called treatment for short. It's just an affirmative way of praying. Now I said that the word hope in this philosophy has two different meanings. One being that it gives us that thing to lift us up. But Ernest Holmes, our founder, also says over and over in our textbook, when you pray, when you do this treatment, there is no room for hope. Because hope implies doubt. So he gives us a great example about how we go into prayer and we connect with the Spirit within and we speak our word and we say, I am healthy, I am abundant, I am whole and perfect and complete. And then the next thing we say basically is, at least I hope so. In that sense, at least I hope so, that's what he means. That kind of hope, when it's, oh, I hope so, that's doubt. You hear the difference? Yeah. Doubt doesn't belong. When we're doing a prayer, we want to speak our word. It's an active approach. This is my truth. Even if we don't see the truth yet, even if it's not manifested yet, to keep saying, this is my truth, this is my truth, this is my truth, and don't let hope, i.e. doubt, creep in. Stay in that very active place. And let me read you a few words from him as he says it. Oh, this actually moves us, I jumped ahead. This moves us from the sense of doubt to faith instead. So when we're feeling doubtful in our prayer time and we're doing our treatment, if we can move ourselves into a sense of faith, faith in the divine within. So here's what he says about faith. Since faith is a quality unconfined to any age or any station, it may be ours today as much as it has been any person's at any time. We're not going through a harder time today. That's big. You know that every single age feels like they've got the worst time. People nowadays say, oh, things are really bad now. But you know what?